Okay, so I think I think everything is set up properly. If not, I will. Well, you know what? It's not even I will. It is scuffed. Anyway, hi. Been a hot minute. By a hot minute, I mean it's been literally since last year, like a month ago. um. Anyway, hi. It's been I've been gone unintentionally for the past uh month pretty much, and ah it I didn't mean to be gone. I didn't mean to do the whole taking break without saying anything thing. Anyway, uh apologies about that. Also apologies about not continuing Nuzlocke and stuff because, so the reason why I've been gone has been due to computer issues and computer trouble. Um my computer stopped turning on after a while, and then I got a new case for my computer along with a few new parts. Um and let's just say when I put my old computer into my new computer, uh nothing turned on. And then the monitors didn't turn on. And then um I somehow managed to get my PC to turn on, but then monitors and everything just didn't register. So then I had to pretty much replace most of my innards, and that's why if you follow me on Twitter, uh I had emergency commissions be a thing. And thanks to you guys, I managed to replace most parts of my computer. And, well, after that, we had other problems. uh, let's just say me putting my computer together was not a fun time. I have found out multiple things about myself. That one, I am dumb as a bag of bricks, and two, that I don't have enough finger strength to do computer stuff. Because, my god, the amount of times I've had to ask for help from my father to fucking, like, take things out of my computer or put things into my computer was ridiculous. So, that was fun. But okay. Most things and most reasons why my computer, like, stopped working seem to be my incompetence of trying to figure out how like computers like get put together, and also just this case in computer kind of being cursed in the sense of once we fix something, other things break or other things don't work, and then we had to try and fix it while also kind of diagnosing and trying to do multiple things at once to try and fix the problems. And then it would either like somehow fix itself, or I find out I'm the problem. So that was a thing. Um so after all of that, my internet apparently wasn't connecting. And so after that, uh had to buy more stuff, had to like figure things out. Turns out that another thing, my bad, I just didn't use enough strength, I guess, to push in my Ethernet cable properly. I guess. Anyway, so Ethernet cable got fixed, internet got fixed. Um, the main issue now with my computer is uh it boots from the wrong SSD, and we being me and like my friends can't figure out how to make it boot from the correct drive, so I have to manually do that from BIOS and stuff, but it's whatever. Anyway, that's how like the last month has been for me. It's been very difficult and very hard and very stressful, and I've used a good chunk of money to try and just fix this computer, and I've come to terms with the fact of I am dumb and don't know how to work computers, and also that this computer and PC in general is very, very cursed. So, if you've been wondering where I've been, TLDR, computer troubles, and I'm dumb. um, but anyway, uh, thank you so much if you've contributed to commissioning me during my emergency commission uh post like a few weeks ago, and thank you so much for just helping me throughout the entire process. And honestly, I really can't thank you guys enough for that. Um outside of that, um going on with how this year and how streaming will be working from now on, uh I will still attempt to stream around like 12 to 6 CST, give or take. So my schedule hasn't really changed, but also kind of has changed a little bit, mostly because like I want to try and stream more while also not putting too much like pressure on myself to go by numbers and go by like what's popular, etc. I will still be playing Destiny. I will still be playing well, Minecraft, and I will try to finish the Nuzlocke or Soullock with my friend Noobs, and those things haven't changed. But I may add Genshin and some other games into the mix eventually. Uh, Drawing, as you can see, will eventually um get back to normal. I plan to stream. Uh, Not only will I be streaming like drawing stuff, like just doodling or OC stuff or whatever. I will also be attempting to draw commissions live as much as possible if people are okay with that. Um I will also be um so for conversation stuff or just during this time of just chatting or just doing things that are not video game related, while also I guess some things kind of being video game related, but mostly like downtime between playing video games, I will probably try to talk about my world building and OC stuff a little bit more. I will also probably talk about creative writing things because I that is what I am interested in, and like outside of just art in general, it's like another thing I'm interested in. um so with that, uh I will attempt to talk about creative processes or um like tropes, book related things, or how I would change certain things to maybe be a little bit better, like a show that like is semi popular but kind of like crashed at the end. Like I would probably talk about how I would have changed it, or how things could have been fixed or saved if writing was done or cared about a little bit more. Those things I will probably talk about. Will will I be going in a like series or in a like general line of things? No. If anything, it's just going to be random ramblings and uh other things of that sort, give or take. Um Also, depending on topics or what's brought up in chat, I'll probably talk about those things too. So feel free to join me on that like adventure eventually. I could probably start that now because I'm going to be drawing most of this time. Uh Also, assuming this is going to be like a semi long stream, by that I mean like 2 hours give or take. Um yeah, so I may try and dip into that stuff with like streams. Outside of that, gaming's going to be normal. Uh and eventually I'll be playing other games with my friends and stuff whenever they're able and whenever like we feel like it. So yeah, that's as much as an update that I can think of, at least when it comes to what I've written down. If you are a part of my Discord or uh have joined my Discord or whatever, you may have seen a post really late at night of like things that I may start doing and talking about. a little bit more on stream. So, all in all, that is what I plan to do for the rest of this year when it comes to streaming. Um, if you've seen like that one short those shorts on YouTube that like I've posted, I'll probably be using my YouTube more of a like clips channel, highlight channel, uh less actual videos because I don't know how to edit. That's a skill that I haven't figured out at all. Um so that's probably just going to be clips of like stream or funny ha-has, etc. Um Eventually I hope to use that as a like archive instead of just tossing highlights on it, but YouTube's a little bit weird when it comes to uploading like more than 2 hour videos. And so far my streams have been more than 2 hours, and I don't want to like figure out what the cutoff of that is. So eventually, once I figure out how to do YouTube stuff, I will probably upload more there. But for now, I'm probably just gonna stay with like streaming Twitch stuff for now. Um, if you're wondering about the whole switching to YouTube and streaming bit that I kind of started like early slash late last year, um, probably not going to touch on that until a lot later because YouTube's not very good when it comes to streaming. Like they don't promote it a lot, and it's more of if people found you, they will most likely watch you sort of thing, not oh hey, like we advertise streaming on the platform sort of thing. As that's what I've seen. So due to all that, I'm probably just gonna stay on Twitch until I see more from YouTube, I guess. But for now, YouTube as a like thing is just going to be kind of put on hold, or whenever me or Yori decides to like edit down a 1 minute video, we will post it on there, I guess. But yeah, I think that's all the things I wanted to talk about. I think like for stream stuff, at least before I start like drawing this thing that I like scribbled up a little bit ago. Um but I think that's it. I think. Um, if you guys have questions or whatever, feel free to like ask in chat. I need to get back into streaming somehow, and this is the only thing I could think of. Just like a Q&A sort of welcome back, sort of getting back into it stream. Um, yeah. Any questions or anything? Mm, I guess I can talk about what I'm currently drawing. Uh So I am drawing an OC because I wasn't sure what to draw as I like used this stream as a update slash catch up thing. Um I am drawing my OC whose name is Terra, and not Terra as in Terra, more of Terra as in the MMO, because I wanted to be quirky when I was younger and be all like, ah, yes, I don't want the name to be spelt like this. I want it to be this because I think it's a better spelling of the name. But I'm not actually, honestly speaking. I probably should have just kept it as normal, but when you're young, you're like, ah, yes, quirkiness. Because I want to be quirky and cool and not like the other, not like the other girls and stuff. So that was a thing. Um, but this OC is okay. She's been through like three-ish revamps at this point. Um, so she is the daughter of a very, very, very old OC that I have. Her name used to be Ace. I know, used to be Ace, and now it's Alicia, or whatever the fuck I decided to put her name as, and she's really old. Like, when it comes to OC timeline stuff, she's very old. She's probably my first actual dedicated OC when it comes to, I guess, the creative process of making OCs. And, well, I guess to explain a little bit more, I used to be a part of a roleplay DeviantArt group thing. I'm not going to say the name because uh lots of problems happened during that timeline, I guess. And uh well, I had my very first OC there, and due to role playing and stuff, it advanced into well, we have to kind of add the next generation because we're kind of getting tired of using our old OCs. So let's make the new generation and use the old generation as a, mm, I guess like the closest thing I could think of to like kind of make this understandable is, I guess, the whole idea of Boruto, where the OG cast is thrown as like the adults slash mentors of like the new generation, and the new generation supposed to be attempting to not overthrow but kind of like make their own story that's like just as important as the old cast's story was. And let's just say when it came to roleplay, that's really fucking difficult to do. Like, with a whole cast of multiple characters from multiple different people who want to do their own character assessments and developments, it was difficult to kind of keep that as a thing. Also difficult to reach certain story beats with each character that existed. With me saying that, it's like, imagine a group project of like 20 people and everyone has their own thing, but they also want to like kind of chain, like, not like chain, but not like chain reaction, but kind of like intertwine each other's stories within selected or other members around while also trying to make it cohesive. And that's really difficult to do with a very, very open roleplay sort of like thing that we had going on. And well, for Ace and Terra, they went through a lot of things. Like, when it came to what they were before, and before they were, so before they were like vampire things. And I say that because the person I was partnered with at the time, very edgy, more edgy than what I am. I was, I guess. And so we went with the whole vampire-esque like backstory stuffies and whatever else. So after a while, that kind of fell through. Well, that stuff happened and that kind of fell through. So uh there came a point where in the roleplay server we had a reset, which was we're resetting the entirety of the world so that way people could have a little bit more freedom to change things with their character without having the aspect of, oh no, but if I change this character, it will affect all these other characters. Because when you have, like, beloved old OCs in your arsenal that are connected to multiple other OCs that aren't a part of your roster, it becomes really difficult to characters into, or weave characters with others without it ruining already established relationships slash already established like things that you may or may not regret like doing at a later date. So the entire server had a like thing where we were like, okay, we're just going to reset everything and everyone can do can restart their characters and restart relationships and stuff if you've wanted. So that happened. And so because that happened, I technically lost out on the roleplay partner thing and I was now kind of on my lonesome with my characters that no longer had uh the whole like having another character to like have a backstory with, quote unquote. And because that happened, instead of being vampires, I decided to have them be something else entirely. And then that instantly got scrapped after a while because I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Um, but pretty much the iterations have went from vampires to, I'm pretty sure I went with succubi as like the third thing or the second like iteration, and then instantly scrapped that after a while because in order to play that role, it was very difficult to play that role, and well, having to deal with a whole new setup for things was also very difficult because there will be characters that would not go to certain places because that's just how characters are, or it was very difficult to have characters meet up without pre-planning. So having two technically speaking succubi be like a thing in that sort of roleplay was very difficult. So that instantly got scrapped to be just tossed into the ether to never be seen again. um and then this third iteration is um laminas, which are snicklets, uh, gigantic snicklets. Um, and as you can see, the theme of most of my characters is that they're all kind of like not mythology. They're all mythical creature, fantasy-esque things. So that's fun and exciting, and totally different and not like the other girls sort of like mentality, I guess. But like come on, who doesn't like monster girls and being able to have monster girls in their arsenal of like creativity? So they're now Laminas and they have their own story and they come from my own sort of creation of like backstory stuff. And with that, will use this as a segue to talk about the world that I've decided to throw these guys into. Um, So, with that, how do I, like, talk about this? Actually, it's not even that, how do I talk about this? It's more of, where do I start? Um, I guess I can just talk about the making of the world and how that lore starts. So, lore about this universe I've made for these characters is dragons are the makers of the world. So, they're take it from the top. Thank you. um, so dragons are makers of the world, like they're the gods of the world, and they make the universe by spinning and weaving stardust and starlight and the universe, etc. And once that universe reaches a certain point, they move on and make a new one. So I don't even know if there's a mythos I can really compare that to because my brain's not quite there. So pretty much, I guess, like, as a thing too, because I also have to explain the magic system of this, because if there's dragons, there has to be magic. So there are the creator dragons that make the world and then eventually move on from the world. And by doing so, there's like a magic system where there is an abundance of magic that equals to there being creative like magicians and like, you know, all the fantasy hoo-ha of like fire-breathing dragons and knights and magicians and wizards and witches and other mythical magic-based creatures existing in the world. And then there comes a kind of like equalization, like plateau that happens that kind of like is the golden age slash like perfect equilibrium balance of magic and technology, I guess. And then once the world starts depleting of magic, that's usually when like the creator dragons move out from that world into a different one. So once that happens, the world eventually turns from a magic based system to more of a technology based system that eventually will have like demonic slash negative like energy stuff happening. Because, well, that and also like angels and stuff. Because in my brain, the way things work is there's huge abundance of magic, and then what happens once magic depletes? When magic depletes, that's when we get the light versus darkness sort of like forces that kind of battle it out until one side wins or both sides kind of don't win and just kind of perish. So depending on how that goes, we go into like end of world apocalyptic sort of scenarios, and by that point, well, either the world implodes or the world just kind of like slowly implodes, I guess. And because that happens all the time, and that's the cycle slash loop of like the universe that I have decided to make, the only thing that's constant is, well, the creator dragons. And so also the reason why I have to specifically say creator dragons is because the world itself also has normal dragons and draconic things, like humanoid whatever things. And so to separate the two, there's dragons which are just basic, like what you expect a dragon to be, and then there's the creator dragons that are just gods and stuff. So that's like the difference, I guess, between all that. Anyway, after like that whole entire thing, um, so where Tara and her mom are currently settled, we're kind of like at the not at the tipping point. We're slowly going over. Well, we're slowly getting to the tipping point of like when magic starts to move out of the universe because the creator dragons have kind of moved on at this point. And also, this is a very, very slow process. This isn't like the instant they leave, we suddenly get a decline of everything and magic's just fucking gone instantly, like blowing up a balloon. No, it's more of a very slow hourglass trickle effect sort of thing. So at this, I guess at this point, it's like dragons have been gone. Well, creator dragons, quote unquote, have been gone, but everyone still thinks they exist because that's how gods work. You kind of don't just stop believing in a god just because miracles and stuff just have vanished, I guess, in this sort of like thing. So as that happens, uh there's like a current story thing where in Terra and Alicia's like tribe, clan thing, group of people, race of people, whatever. Um, and I say this because I haven't really established much. Okay, I have established a few things, but um, it's more of like ideas and stuff, and not as actual legitimate, concrete foundations and world building stuff. Because these things can easily be changed, like eventually. We'll get there eventually. So, with Elisa and them's whole thing is their clan is kind of doing things that are considered like taboo slash bad. And in the sense of like, so as I've mentioned before, there are normal dragons out there, right? So normal dragons have their own magic system that is obviously separate from the created dragons and also separate from normal magic systems. For them, they are able to do, closest thing I can think of is like the Avatar. They're able to just kind of do anything and everything with their magic, while everyone else has to kind of use items or have to be affiliated with like elements or whatever. But for most dragons, they either just choose their element or they are able to manipulate whatever the fuck they want. To with a limitation, obviously, because creator dragons are able to do whatever the fuck they want because they literally create the world, while others are, well, these dragons are more of, oh, we are able to take, or we are able to do certain things, but we can't go past a certain limitation. Like, uh, we can change, like, weather, but we can't just, like, make a tsunami, if that makes sense. Like, we could change a sunny day to be a rainy day, but we can't, like, change a sunny day into a tsunami or change it into a snowstorm in the middle of summer, or some stuff like that. It's like there's obviously power and like magical limitations to these dragons, while others are able to do whatever they want. And so, with that being said, dragons in my world, the normal ones, are, they're kind of seen as like what I guess Greek mythology was, well, not even Greek mythology, kind of Greek mythology, but like what like most people think of when it comes to like demigods. Because if you have gods, there are demigods, and then the demigods are treated like gods because they are half of God slash half of whatever the fuck, right? Like the normal thing of what you would think of like a demigod to be, or even like uh not even like, what is the word? There's like a specific word for gods, but they're not like that powerful, but they're still treated like gods or whatever. Anyway, moving on. um, but when it comes to that stuff, they're treated like gods in a way, or at least they're treated like, if this was like a like class system, they're like top of the top compared to everyone else. So, um, with that being said, it's almost like they're gods, so everyone kind of treats them like that. And um, for Terra's uh clan group, race, people, etc., they kind of have decided, because technically speaking, Laminas are monsters, or at least what you would consider a monster. And like, this isn't even the thing of like, oh, you say you're a monster, but you're actually like a decent person, sort of. No, like, I mean in the sense of like, if we are human, there are monsters that literally eat humans or are literal things of menaces and can kill you, sort of like monsters, I guess. Like nightmarish, what you assume a monster would be, or what horror movies make all that stuff out to be. And so, like, for Terra, monsters are literally just a separate race from everything else. And, like, monsters are kind of like the weird cannon fodder slash not really cannon fodder of, like, the world. they're kind of it's like when you see a centaur, it's like, oh yes, you're a centaur, you're just a half human with a horse body thing that exists, so you're considered passive. But if you're like, I, I don't know, like, instead of being a centaur, you're insert like monstrous, like, sphinx looking thing that is really wild, that is considered a monster and that is considered dangerous, sort of thing. Like, that's the separation in my world, I guess. If that I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, like, that's like how that works. So for Terra and them, like, it's just that is how that works. There's become a thing where, like, oh well, we could, like, we need more, like, power in order to, like, become even more powerful of monsters or whatever the fuck. I haven't thought this through. And they decide, ah, yes, what's more powerful than a monster? Oh, dragons. And, like, their entire, like, the entire aspect of, like, oh, monsters are not as powerful as dragons, and dragons have all the magic in the world. We can easily just, like, take them and use their power for what we want instead, sort of mentality. So then what happens is, and it's not like I'm gonna write this as a book or anything, but, like, what happens is some monsters have started to do the thing of, ah yes, what if we take dragons and try to extract magic from them by either, well, any means possible. So at this point in the storyline, or at least at the beginning of when kind of the hero's journey, but not really the hero's journey, it's more of a start, I guess. It's not a start of the hero's journey because the hero's journey as a story structure only works if, like, there's, like, a possible ending to the hero's journey. It doesn't make sense if the hero's journey literally doesn't end because it's a five step structure sort of thing. So I'm just gonna say it's a start, or at least where this whole entire thing of, like, where my OCs come from start. And so from the start is when Tara's mom finds out that this is, like, what her clan slash people, or at least that small group of people that they're with. I say small, but it's not really small. At least in my brain, it's not, like, actually small, but it's small in comparison to, like, how big the world is. But anyway, uh, Tara's mom, Alicia, has found out that, oh shit, we are dealing with taboo stuff of taking dragons and trying to extract magic from them because they think it's going to become, like, more power to us and more of a, like it's going to give us an advantage over everybody else by having this power that we don't even understand if even exists, by extracting it from dragons, or even doing all these experiments, or even just eating them because they're laminas. And I will explain my version of laminas to you guys in a bit, but um but, like, eating them or extracting, like, parts and tools from them in order to gain magical power, etc. And she's like, yo, that sucks. We shouldn't do that. We should probably not go against nature and, murk things out of our that, like, we don't understand, because why are we doing this in the first place if we don't actually know what the end goal or even ending of this is? Because again, in this world, dragons are seen as gods, even if, like, they're demigods, or quote unquote what would count as demigods anyway. So it's full, like, blasphemy stuff. Anyway, um so with that being said, for at least Alicia as, like, my OGOC, and also as my uh like previous generation sort of character. She's very like politically invested into like this whole entire dynamic of like stopping at least her people from like continuing into this like weird like thing of greed, I guess. And so because she's doing that, her kid, who is Tara, is like, yo, that's fucked. I want to help as much as possible too because I don't want to see my people in my family to I don't want to see them like end up in situations where they can no longer help themselves. And by her family, she literally means just her like family, not like the clan or whatever the fuck. It's just her immediate family, so it's like her mom and her dad. And she's like, I don't want them to like do all these things and then like not have any support outside of like just what they are able to do. So at least when I started using her in a roleplay setting, her whole thing was I need to figure out a outside source that I can use that can provide support to my family that isn't just I am a part of like the family like organization or what the fuck that like exists, which would be just political gain or political whatever stuff. So she decides I'm gonna go off world, being into a different world, because again we're talking about roleplay stuff. So she decides I'm gonna go into a different world and try multiple things to see if they succeed, and if they do, to I will use this knowledge to help the people like my family back home. So she ends up in this world where what did we call it? Like it's not a network. It's not I don't remember what we decided to call this world. It's not like a network or like home world. It's more of a in between connection, I guess, when it comes to like world hopping and world like dimensional hopping or whatever, a hub. And it's where like most people go before they choose to go to either a separate world or go back to their world. Again, I wish I remember what it's all called, but I don't because it's been a hot minute. Anyway, so she ends up in this world thanks to asking her two friends for help. I'm not going to talk about them because Jesus Christ, like I'd have to explain them too, and I'm not going to. Fuck them for now. So thanks to her two friends, she ended up in a new world, and that world is a hub where a lot of people meet up. And because of that, she's going to use that world to try and figure out a way to get her family into like a higher standing, to get them more money, more support, so that way it'll help with the political parts of like the entire system that I just said before. The problem is, at least when it came to role playing that, it's really really difficult to role play something as I guess it's really hard to role play something like that when everyone in the group project wants to do their own thing. So either wants to do their own thing or just kind of does things without realizing that that kind of screws over other characters. And so and I'm not saying this is a bad thing or even if this is like a communication error. This is just how people are in a very big group of like open pretty much an open world roleplay setting. And open world roleplay settings are very good because very it's like an open world game. It's like Skyrim. You can do whatever the fuck you want within limitations of the world. and rules of the world. So like you could be an asshole dragonborn piece of shit who just kind of goes around, steals stuff and yeets people and does big haha funny and throws giants into the fucking void of the skybox. Or you can actually play the game like normal or how the game's supposed to be played, and you become like the dragonborn. Or you can just do side quests and upon side quests, or just kind of meet people and marry Linda or whatever the fuck. Like you could do anything and everything you want in an open world Skyrim game, right? That's the same thing what open world roleplay is, at least when it comes to like roleplay servers and stuff. If you happen to find one that like isn't just full power hungry, like power tripping nerds who just want to be the big anime protag who kind of just like fucks people over without any consequences. And also a world that actually, has set rules to stop people from doing that. Anyway. The world is that. So it was really difficult to set up a character, at least set up my characters to have like story beats happen without issue of what is it? Like issues that would come up later. And I'm trying hard not to like name drop things because that's an asshole thing to do. So, when it comes to like roleplay stuff, uh it's just difficult to do group project things. Um so at least when it comes to roleplay from the beginning to the end of like the roleplay server that I used to be in, um the things, let's say nothing really like went as I wanted with her characterization and character making stuff. So she's still stuck where she used to be. Like nothing's really like advanced for her when it comes to like story beat stuff, which is annoying to me, but also it was very predictable with how things were going. So with all that being said, um her being back in her world, because that's what happened eventually. Everyone would go back, at least at the end of the whole thing with the roleplay server. Everyone eventually went back to their original worlds, or at least that's what some of us roleplayed. And so she went back to her world with her two friends, and currently I haven't really thought much about her or thought much about what she does. I know noobs in chat definitely, like, I've told you about some things, but it's not all concrete. It's mostly just like us talking about like OC stuff, which happens a lot, and it's also why uh, I'm gonna use I'm gonna use drawing and stuff as a way to talk about OC stuff without just talking to my friends about it, because I feel like it'd be fun. In the ether, yes. But a lot of things are just kind of like, as Noob said, in the fucking ether, because ugh, it's hard to keep things on track, at least when it comes to roleplay servers. And then finally, when you don't have a roleplay server to use as a way to test out certain plot points or certain things anymore, you kind of just have your own like creativity to use. And as much as that sounds great and all, in my opinion, not having live like, it's not, I wanted to say live footage, that's stupid and doesn't make any sense. More of just live reaction slash um like, I guess it is just live reactions to like things that you do is better for me specifically when it comes to creative processing, when it comes to character like making, because you at least know how people will react. You at least know how, like, if people like it or not, and you also know if like, you at least have like a way to like put it as concrete evidence of, okay, I can do this, and then from here on out this will go this way into like this like linear like storyline that I am creating like live instead of just story beat here and then story beat here, and how do I connect two story beats to make it understandable for people. Because like I think for a lot of creative writers, the main issue that we have a lot is I have a really cool event such situation that I want to happen, but how do I get there from point A, and then how do I get out of it to point C? And that's very difficult for a lot of people because it's like, oh, the Dragonborn is in prison, and big funny haha meme of that one meme. But how do I get him from being a prison, like being stuck in prison and about to get executed, to being like the Dragonborn esque like main character at the end of the game? Ideas are cool, then you gotta get to that idea, then out of yes. So it's hard for a lot of people to get from point A to point B to point C to D because you have to fill in the spaces between. Like if you want to have a character from like their hometown to try and get to the big city, you can't just, well, I mean you can just have them, you know, do a TP over to like the city. But a lot of the time it's like, okay, so they're going to be a like innocent like person who's from rural area of like, farming and no industrial idea of like anything. How do you get them to the city without like slowly introducing them, or even just like dropping them there and not having any sort of traveling like stuff, or even kind of like a slight push into that sort of setting? Because yeah, you can have a magician be like, ah, yes, I need you for a quest, and then they just yoink them and then throw them into the magic tower in like the biggest city on the continent and be like, now you are my apprentice. I am now going to train you to be the best wizard out there. I don't know. I like you can do that, but there's a reason why there's like travel time that people like do as downtime for their characters, especially like if the beginning is your character is, in buttfuck nowhere and is super like naive of the world. How do you get them from that to like you're an apprentice at the magic tower without having like any sort of characterization, or even slowly getting to know a character in between? Because why would we care about Kevin the farmer getting thrown into the magic tower when we don't know anything about Kevin other than he used to live like on a farm? That's like saying like, oh, Clark Kent, he used to be, a kid like that lived in, I don't remember where Superman came from. I'm just like, I think it's Arkansas. I think it's like insert like area here of the like, country, and like, throwing him into the Superman role with no in between of like explaining how that happened, or giving us any characterization of like how he even got there from like being a kid to suddenly he's Superman, if that makes sense. Like we didn't get attached to Superman just because he became Superman. We got attached to Superman because of all the things between like when he was a kid to where he is now, sort of like things. Um so with that being said, it's like I can see how for a lot of people, especially if the only things that you've seen for like TVs and stuff is a lot of like main event switches. And when I say that, it's like Game of Thrones stuff, for example, or even just like books in general. Like you go from one main event in a certain character's POV to a different character's POV that is doing something else that isn't correlated to that event. Like we are very, you go from event instead of going down like a linear storyline that involves like the banter between like, you know, the main three of your cast members, or like finding out backstory and finding out like why things are happening how they are to the villains and stuff. We don't get any of that. It's just a lot of like, oh, well, in Game of Thrones, like Daenerys Targaryen, Mother of Dragons, etc. Like she's like going through all this stuff with the Dothraki and stuff, and it's like, okay, cool, but imagine that, but with, okay, so Kid Daenerys gets thrown into the whole Dothraki thing with nothing in between, no like her like having to travel with them on horseback for months and months as like nomadic people, not even any like characterization of the Dothraki as like a nomadic people. It's just, okay, this is what Daenerys is doing. Anyway, we're going to somebody else now. It's like there's a reason why in the movies we go through like, or the movies, the TV show, uh, where like, okay, Daenerys starts here where like she's getting introduced to Drogo or whatever the fuck his name is, and then like uh the wedding day, the wedding night, the wedding scenes. I'm not gonna explain what those are. And then like the in between of that of like, so there's the wedding scene and then there's like the scene where like she actually kind of like falls in love with like Drogo or whatever, and like there's like the in between where you get to learn about her character, you get to learn about who she is as a person, you get to learn what she goes through, you also get to learn like bits and pieces of like how the Dothraki like work as like a nomadic group of people, and how their culture is, even though it's only like a tiny bit, like a little itty bitty bit spread for that, but it's still there. Like these are like foundations to figuring out the type of characters and what they go through in order to be what they end up being. Now, obviously, Game of Thrones at the very end of season whatever the fuck, like 7 or whatever, didn't go out very well. But like at least at the beginning, we can use that as a good example of like characterization and how a character goes from point A to point B. But that's like an already established thing. How do you do that when you are just like, a person making up characters? Well, I don't know. Even I don't know how to do that. A lot of the time, it's just kind of like we talk about it, or I talk about it to like people, and like we eventually kind of like get through that. I guess like an example would be um in Destiny 2 as like having OCs for it. Um how does Nora 1, who is my EXO, how does Nora 1 go from Red War to uh Forsaken? Like what does she do in that in between time? Is she going to be doing the entirety of Osiris? Is she going to be doing the entirety of uh Warmind? What is she doing in between those things? Like at least when I talk about that stuff with my clan, if if people are talking about it anyway, it's a lot of like, oh well, during Red War she does the entirety of Red War and all the in betweens of like the strikes and stuff, like because Red War is like the main start point of like Nor being a main character, and then during that time, who does she meet? Oh, she meets Christian, who is the like a Destiny 1 Titan. She also meets Endril, who is a Destiny 1 Warlock. And then she meets Lotus, who is a, technically speaking, a Destiny 2 hunter, but she doesn't show up till Forsaken. Um there's also like 3 other people that I don't fucking remember because Jesus Christ, we have a lot of people. I mean, not even a lot of people, just a lot of characters. And like during that time, it's like, okay, well, what does she do? Like when she goes on like a strike or a nightfall or whatever with Christian and Endril. What does she do when like there's downtime? Does she like mingle with her strike mates, teammates, whatever? Like, does she mingle with like her clanmates? Does she mingle or even like do things with like her people? What NPCs does she interact with? Does she interact with Salone much? Does she talk with Zavala? Does she interact with Cade when he was like a thing? Did she go on patrols? Was she told to do certain things? Like, You have to patrol this area of the EDZ, for example. Um, who are the main character? Who are the main villains that she's mostly going after? Like, is she mostly does she mostly hate the Cabal, or does she mostly hate the Fallen, for example? Or like, why does she hate those two like factions? Or uh does she do PvP? Does she like fuck around in Shax's whole like PvP stuff? Did she do um trials? like does she do Iron Banner? Does she like Iron Banner? Does she talk with Saladin? Did she go like does she ever go to Feltwinter's Peak and like do any of that stuff? Well, if you want to do that, you got to go and do research on Destiny 1 stuff too. Like there's so many things of like the in between of like, Red War to Forsaken that you can easily fill in by just asking questions of like that. Obviously, you're not going to have every answer to those questions, but it's still like one of those things where at least that's how I make the in betweens, like from like one point A to point like B or point C even. Because at least for Nor, it's like, okay, so Red War, she is doing the entirety of Red War, like the entire new light experience of Red War. She does all of that. Um, After all that, she mostly like stays at tower. She does EDZ patrol runs. She protects the city by going around. She talks to Kate a lot. She talks to her new clanmates, though they're not really clans. Like they're not really a clan yet, but she mostly talks to them, and she goes on missions with them. She does strikes. She does nightfalls. I don't remember if nightfalls existed during Red War. She doesn't touch PvP because I never touched PvP. So she kind of just does a lot of the PvE stuff. She talks with Cade a lot. She talks with Ikora a lot. She doesn't really talk to Zavala. So those are like things that I've implemented as like who she is as a character. How does she talk to these people? Is she like very cold? Is she very warm? Is she friendly? Is she very like arm's length? Like those are also things that I have to put into consideration when she's talking to these characters as well. So, like, the way she talks to Cade is like, oh, hey, like, the way you talk to Cade is you're very to the point, but you still respect him as, like, a Hunter Vanguard because he's probably the only one you really, like, talk to in Tower until, like, after Red War. Um, you talk to Ikora a lot because um, I don't know, she's mom. You kind of have to talk to her, I guess. like, uh, Ikora has to be important because she literally is a good portion of Red War, so that's how you get to know her more. You don't really talk to Zavala because during Red War, you barely spoke to him. If anything, like, he was very like, hey, why are you here? Don't come here. Why, like, how do you still have your light, etc. And so, you know, at least for me, for Nora as a character, she would see that as he's just doing his job and I'm just a subordinate, so I'm not gonna like try and talk to him as much or even try to like get to know him as much versus like Cora and Cade. So like it's like as you go through like points in the story, you start making your character to be a certain way. And obviously there are people who do the thing where like they take Asher for example and just kind of change it a little bit and make that their own OC. That's fine, especially if like, you know, it's at least a franchise sort of like thing. So when it comes to franchises that you decide to make OCs for, it's okay to like take aspects of other characters and make them into like your own OC. Now, doing the thing of taking a whole character, yeah, you gotta find your niche. But like there's also a really bad thing when it comes to making your own OC where, and I guess this is where I talk about Mary Sue's a little bit, but also not really. Um, you take a character and you decide that that is your character now. And by that I mean like you take Ikora, but then you take away like one thing from her and make and like that one because you took away that one thing, she's now your OC. Now, when it comes to fanfiction and you do that to fit a certain story, that you were trying to tell, that's different from literally doing that and making that like your new OC. Like it's literally just Ikora but without like this, and that's like your OC. I think that's kind of like bad when it comes to franchise. By the way, this is my opinion. Don't take this as like legitimate shit. But when it comes to doing that to a character, it's kind of like, in my opinion, it's bad because you're not adding to a character and you're also not changing a character to the point where it's now like your original character. You're just taking something out, like, or like reducing character to their, yeah, like reducing a character to their very basic tropes and stuff. Like it's, to me, I think it's bad because obviously they're already an established character. They are a foundation. If you wanted to, you can like take aspects of Ikora, Osiris, and Asher and make those things into a OC. Like you take how Ikora is very loyal to the people like that she trusts the most. You can take that Osiris is a sassy grandpa and make that into like another thing added to your OC, and then you can have Asher's whole thing of like, oh, he's like trying to figure out a way to like stop the Vex. He's trying to find a way to stop the degrading of his body because he got fucking yoinked by the Vex at one time. How to stop, like how he went into the Pyramidion, etc. Like you can take all those things, push them together, and then suddenly you have a whole new OC that takes bits and pieces of those things and makes that into what they are. But the thing is, if you don't do that and all you do is you take Ikora and you take out one thing, and let's say that one thing is, I don't know, she's not Hunter Vanguard, or she's not Hunter Vanguard, she's not world like of part of the Vanguard, and she never did. Like she never met Zavala, she never met like Cade, she never got that position in the first place. Like you take that out of her character, you still just have Ikora. You just decided to take that one thing out, so now you have Ikora, but what if she like never was a part of the Hunter Vanguard? But then you change her name, but you change her name and you decide that like you change her look and her name and that's all you did. I don't think that's like a good way of like having a OC. Now, that also doesn't mean if you have an OC that is pretty much like they're kind of like Ikora, they look up to her and they do those things that she does. That's different because that's at least your OC taking on characteristics of a different character while also having their own stuff. But blatantly taking a character and just taking one thing out is not really good for like making an OC. Now some people still do that, and I'm not gonna like yell at you guys for doing that either. But it's just like, I think it's better and good for characters if you just take bits and pieces of each and try and make that into a Chimera OC than just taking a whole NPC that you like and taking that one thing out that you don't like. Now, if you're a child who like, if you're like a child slash like new to like the whole OC thing, I don't mind if you do that. That's kind of like how everyone first starts out with OCs. They kind of take an OC or they take like characters and they, you know, mix mash them or just use them as like a main OC. Like I think that's fine. And obviously take this all with a grain of salt. It's not, I'm not sitting here like telling you, ah yes, this is why you can't do this. This is just my opinion. And again, it like I have to say this a lot. It's my fucking opinion. You don't have to take it as like fact and you don't have to like sit there and be like, ah yes, you're correct. These are my opinions. They're obviously like opinions, which are things that are like shouldn't be right or wrong. If you agree with it, you agree. If you disagree, you can disagree. I don't care. But these are like my opinions when it comes to like character creation. Ugh. But um Can you tell I kind of fucking lost what I was talking about the instant I took a breath to like kind of like chill a little bit? um, I guess going back to um what I'm drawing, which is just Hera and not explaining stuff. I guess going back to all that. um, the way I made Terra in them is because actually I guess I can go into how I make characters and why what is this theme of characters as well, I guess, because I talked about going from one event to another event and how to do the in between of going from point A to point B. So now I guess I can talk about how like characters become how they are. Like obviously you have to put in some work to make a character. Like again, we already talked about how you can take bits and pieces of other characters and smash them together, but like there's also a little bit more to it than that as well. Like uh, who like what is their name? Who are they? All that stuff, that's like really important. But I mean in the sense of like how do they react to situations and how do they get like from being a normal person in your world to being like a main character, I guess. Like for Tara, she is trying to help her mom, right? So her whole thing right now is gotta help mom, gotta support the family, etc. So why is that important? Well, because family is her main theme. Her main theme is she wants to take care of her family, and family is the most important thing to her. Um, now, is that the only thing that's important to her? No. Is that, like, the only thing she ever talks about? No. Is she, like, characterization wise, is that, like, her only thing? Like, the only thing she is known for is for caring about her family? No. Like, obviously you kind of have to think things through a little bit more than that. Like, okay, so she cares about her family. That's like a good start. But like, what would she do for her family? Like, would she kill for her? Would she? Oh, gotta. Would she like murk things for her family? Would she, um, like take deals for her family that like are not great for her mentally and physically? Um, like, uh, just like what are the stakes that she's willing to take, pretty much, like, for her family or to achieve the goal that she has, which would be to succeed in her businesses so she can eventually. Oh god, did I already fucking forget her whole thing? Oh Jesus. Just to explain, I have not thought or used this character in forever because of things that happened, and I don't remember much about this character anymore. So I've kind of flat out forgotten a good few things. So with that being said, uh I guess I'm in that current process of trying to figure out like the importance of why she exists and why she does what she does. And if you're also in that position where you are thinking about those things for your characters, like, my god, this is probably the hardest thing without having to, like, actually make your character. Because making a character is very easy. Now, giving them a goal slash, like, reason to continue doing what they're doing, that's different. Because, so, like, it can't just be. Well, I mean, I guess it can. You can have a character do the thing of this is the only thing I'm here to do, and this is my only reason of like surviving and living up to this point. You can have that be a thing. Most people have that be the thing for like villainous characters, which isn't bad. It's just heroes can also have those things as well. Um, but for Terra, as of right now, she's kind of like non-existent, I guess. Like not very like active in current story stuff. I don't really think much about her stuff at all. Um, I this is why if you're a part of my Discord, I posted that sticky note where it said revamp characters to be more interesting as like a thing. Yeah, this is why. Um I need to rethink a little bit of like character motivations and how to make them not have to rely on past things that kind of don't matter anymore. At least in comparison to like how long it's been since those things have mattered. So yeah, I need to revamp her to like give her a proper character motivation to like do things. Um, with that being said, uh, the main theme for Tara is finding a place where she can belong and that her people can belong. Because a lot of my characters kind of deal with the whole like kind of found family but not really found family sort of like dynamics where you gotta find a place where you can feel safe and belong without having to like without I guess without having to like worry too much about like the future afterwards. But when it does when like the future does come like at you, you at least have people there to like be by your side, etc. I know, right? It's so fucking like sappy and stuff and things, but uh, look, there's a reason why I like found family stuff, and it's like very cute and wholesome, and I like that shit. Okay, we need less nihilism in like storytelling and more like comfy like positive vibes because let's be honest here, a lot of things have become super nihilistic and I don't like it. As when I was younger I liked it because you eggy teenager liking eggy thingies of like nihilism and doomery, etc. Yeah, like that's cool and all when I was like fucking like 13, but now as like a kind of adult but not really adult, it sucks to like see so much like oh dark and gloomy things of like no, the world's ending and there's nothing you can do and well sucks to suck and it's like bruh I like give us like less of that. Real life's already fucked beyond belief. Yeah, that stuff, but also just we need less like we need less nihilistic DC comics and more of like hey, like superheroes are like a good positive thing and like they're hopeful to for people, not yes, you want to see like how Superman is like the worst thing ever. You want to see what happens when Superman does this and is like a terrible person and like how like this is like how it is when it comes to like darkness and etc. Or you want to see what happens when like Bruce Wayne, like his like sidekicks become evil or whatever. Like I'm tired of that shit. Give me like more positive notes. We already have negative stuff in the real world, and the reason why we read stuff or even get into creative stuff in general is to escape that shit. I don't want to fucking see more like depressing shit in my media that like I don't really need as it like as it already is. Now, I'm not saying the nihilism in like doomer sort of like media is bad. I'm just saying we have way too much of it. Like way too much of it. And it's tiring seeing all of that. It's why like it's why I Oh god. This is why I really got into Overwatch. Because when Overwatch first happened, I was super into it because it was probably the first piece of media that was very positive towards like a better world. Now, is that how it is now? No, it's not. No, like nothing now is like that when it comes to Overwatch. But when it was like the main like story beats and the main like thing that Overwatch is about, where no matter what happens, the main goal is to make a better world. And the main goal is to be able to see the next day and have hope for the future. That's the type of thing that like is very good to me and something that I'm very interested in because let's be honest here, a lot of fucking video games are super like you are the hero, but you have to go through everything and the kitchen sink in order to be happy. And even after that, you may not be happy. Because example is like The Last of Us. Okay, so at the end of the last spoilers for The Last of Us the fans if you haven't like figured it out already. Um so at the beginning of The Last of Us, it's like, oh, fucking zombie apocalypse happens. Oh shit, oh fuck, we're fucked. That's already like the tippity top of like doom and gloom. And then at the end of The Last of Us, it's oh, like we can finally fix what's going on. We can finally fix the pandemic or whatever the fuck. And then Joel, technically speaking, ruins that, but he ruins it for a good fucking reason. And as much as that's like sad, I at least am able to accept that because one, it's human, and two, after everything that they've both been through, it makes sense that that's what his character decides to do. And it may not be a positive outlook for humanity, but it's still a positive outlook for both characters. And I think that's good. Now, The Last of Us 2, I think, uh, they throw all of that out. From my understanding of the story, they throw all of that out, and it's all just womp after womp of, like, depressing stuff with no, like, hopeful outlook. Because you know, we get like Ellie at the beginning with like her girlfriend question mark. I've never seen The Last of Us 2 like gameplay wise. I've just seen summaries and also the ending. But like from what I understand, it's a lot of just oh, you get to this point and then all of a sudden it's just fucking sad, 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 depressing, sad, nothing hopeful. And then at the end, it doesn't even equal to anything. She just goes home to an empty house and we're supposed to see that as like the ending. And it's understandable why a lot of people didn't like The Last of Us 2 because, well, one, again, spoilers, fucking the main character from Last of Us 1 dies. And a lot of people don't understand why, or even, like, knows, like, why it happened. I understand why it happened, just because, like, the ending of Last of Us 1 was, like, a major like, thing that led up to why the things happened in Last of Us 2. The main thing is that, like, I guess this is where characterization and leading up to that point is, like, terrible, but, like, getting to that point was done very badly, and then dealing with the things after that point was also done very badly, because you're now supposed to be somewhat sympathetic to the character that literally murked a character that you're more attached to, and you're supposed to use that as a, like, segue into trying to like the character when you've already established that no, there's no way I can like this character after what they've just did. Like, after what they just done. At least if I'm remembering what happened at The Last of Us 2, like, correctly. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And then the ending wasn't even done. Well, it was satisfying, but also not satisfying from what I've heard from people and also what I've seen. So, like, that's why a lot of people see The Last of Us 2 as, like, a bad thing, quote unquote. But, like, that's what I mean when it comes to, like, nihilism and, like, depressing stuff. It's always just like there's usually at the end of a lot of like not a lot of games, but like a lot of like supposedly like emotional games, it's usually doesn't end well for characters. And if it does end well, it's like a bittersweet sort of ending, which I'm fine with to some extent, but I need more games that are like positive with like a positive outlook at the end. With like this isn't just games, but like media in general needs to have like a positive at the end of some games, or else it's like so we went through all this hardship, all this like our characters went through all this trauma only to end up not even happy at the end or not even like accomplishing their goal at the end or even like having a quote unquote like happy ending. And I don't know, it's tiring to have a lot of stories be like that after years of like real life shit hitting the fan like almost every year. Yeah. Like there always has to be like again, I'm fine with bittersweet endings and I'm fine with like the doomer endings as well. But it's when a lot of the resolutions of a story kind of end up not really being resolutions in in the same sense of what that technically means in a story usually. It's just like okay, so at the end it's like okay, we die, or at the end like oh, like we reach a bittersweet ending, or all this stuff. It's like we never have a story where the ending is, oh, we meet back up with our family, oh, we like find out that everything's okay again, or like we use this time to heal, or things will be better again, or I will heal from the things I've been through, etc. Like we don't have a lot of stories that are like that anymore. Or if we do, they're very like indie stuff, like indie games or uh like short stories or small like even fan fiction or even like um like other stuff. Like I guess another example would be like Destiny ever since I would even say like Shadowkeep. It's just been fucking like one after another. So many things are happening. Like spoiler alert for people who are not up to date with Destiny since Shadowkeep, I guess. After Shadowkeep, we like have to deal with a Vex invasion, and then after the Vex invasion, we gotta deal with like time getting fucked beyond belief, and then we have to deal with like God, there's so many layers to like what we have to go through and what we have to fix every single fucking season. And there's never like it's like, oh, we finally fixed this, and then all of a sudden Sabathun's like, heh, what if you don't? And it's like, fuck, okay, now we gotta go fix that, and then we go fix that, and then it's like, Sabathun's like, haha, guess what? I have a throne world now, and then Witch Queen happens, and you're like, shit, fuck, okay, I need to like, yeah, and then like like, there's never like a thing where like, I guess like there has been like recently sort of, but like Witch Queen happens, and then like, oh hey, Aldrin's back, but it's Crow. Okay, now we gotta go save Crow because he's under Spider's whole thing, and like we have to like learn to kind of like reaccept him as like a person and not as like Aldrin anymore. Again, sorry guys for spoilers if you're not up to date, but like it like okay, I understand that like Destiny right now we're kind of like going towards like a darker sort of story right now, but there are times where I'm just like, bro, we need a fucking break. Like our guardian needs a small break from like everything. It's just a constant fucking like, man, you want this, and this happening at the same time. Like example being like, when we got the war table, we also had like two other things we had to deal with at the same time. And it's like, holy shit, we are just in a constant state of like struggle bus and stress of like, if we fuck up once, we're just, that's it. If we fuck up once, that's it. And it's just like, bro, we're not having a break, are we? And then like even like Splicer to an extent was like a little bit. It was a little bit better with a little bit of hope because of the Fallen being like, at least like for Mithrax and stuff. Like it's at least a little bit more positive because we're like, okay, we're finally getting somewhere, and then we get the with Kaido and stuff later. But my God, like it's like a small up and then a fucking big downwards dive down for like the past few like seasons, and I'm just like, I want a season where we actually kind of like get a big up instead of just a tiny up for like one thing, but then it's down for another thing. just like just one, just a little bit, just a smidgen. Like it doesn't even have to be like that big of an up. It could just be like, oh well, Kaido now lives on the Leviathan or some bullshit, and we can visit her, and like instead of the Leviathan leaving, we finally like cleaned it up for Kaido, and she kind of gets it, and like it's like the biggest fucking thing, like a big win for us to finally like get something for her to like for her and her people to finally have like a suitable place to be in instead of like kind of hovering around Earth right now. Like that'd be nice. It'd be like a good up and like a good positive after Crow's fuck up and losing Saladin, and yeah, the humanity in that darkness, which is why someone like me comes back each time. Yeah, like it's good to have like darkness and stuff, but at least with how Bungie's been going on with the story so far, we have had like good ups and a lot of downs, but at least we have some good ups, and it's really good. Like during the whole nightmare thingy majiggy of whatever the whole nightmare season, whatever, I don't remember what it's called because I wasn't really active during that season. But like us getting backstory and also some closure to the whole thing with Aldrin, and then the whole thing with Savala. My God, Savala, my man. Uh, my man's been through so much shit, and he just needs a break. Dad needs to sit down, knit with like a nice cup of tea, and also like a hug. But like the whole thing of finally kind of like settling things down with yeah, but like the whole thing with like that entire fucking thing was we finally got closure with Aldrin to an extent. I still think Crow needs to like understand a little bit more before things kind of happen. I'm glad you're here, Noah. But so the whole thing with Crow finally we kind of get like settled with his whole thing with Aldrin, though I still kind of wish we had a little bit more to that than just like what we got. I wish there was just like a little bit more to that than just him like after 2 weeks he's like, all right, I accept I'm kind of like I have Aldrin like as a part of me, and I'm not gonna like I can't just, remove Aldrin from me. He is me, like that kind of like thing. Like that's cool, and I'm glad that, that's how the ending for Aldrin and the whole split between Aldrin and Crow is. But I wish we had just a little bit more time to like kind of have them like understand that a little bit better than just 2 weeks of like story with Aldrin, and then it just kind of like, oh yeah, it's fixed. He now like Aldrin's now like a blue ghost and not a demented one, and it's like, can we have a little bit, just a smidgen more to that? Now the entirety of what happened with Savala's story, 100%, that was done very well. My God, tears for my man's. And God, I'm so happy with like how not I'm not okay. I'm not happy with the things he's been through because holy dude, holy shit, this man's been through so much. But like how all of that gets like told and how it gets wrapped up was done really well. Like we finally get to learn more about Savala. We learn about his past, and we learn why he's how he is, and how his mental health has been for the past few months at that point, my man's needs a cup of tea and to fucking lay down in a bed, man. He needs time to like chill, and he's never gonna get it until we fucking deal with like all the shit and stuff that's happened. He also needs to talk to Ikora because holy man, he needs more support after like pretty much having two pillars under him get fucking swiped out. um, the thing with Keitel, in my okay, this is a very bad take, and I know this is a very bad take because I know a lot of people on Twitter are like super happy about what happened with Keitel and stuff, but I kind of wish we had a little bit more stuff with Keitel and Gaul, because I understand the whole thing with that, but I wish we just had a little bit more. Just again, it's the thing with Crow and Uldren. I wish we had a little bit more to establish a lot more between those two characters, so we can like like instead of 2 weeks of like you know RNG dialogue of like getting to know why Keitel and Gull are like important to each other and why like he's a nightmare to her. Like instead of 2 weeks, I wish we had like 3 weeks of like not even a constant story, but just kind of like old fashioned Red War where we it was like a linear line of like a constant like storyline instead of just doing doing the activity over and over again to get as many voice lines as possible to figure out why Gull is like a thing. Like I don't know, I just don't like that as a game model, especially as a person who enjoys like storytelling and characters. I feel like that's like meh, and only having 2 weeks maybe to like get all that in. I kind of wish we had more for at least Crow and Keitel so we can like get to know them more and be more attached to them as characters than just 2 weeks of like, okay, we're going from point A to point B, and point B is like how they like forgive themselves or how they like overcome this like nightmare. Again, it's just I wish there was just a little bit more. Like if we had a sandwich, I want this to be a perfect bite and not just like a side piece like bite, if that makes sense. Because it's like you're trying to take a perfect bite of like the story, and instead of taking the perfect bite, you took the perfect bite with Savala, but then now you're stuck with like the crust pieces for like the other two characters. And to me, that's kind of like it's kind of sad that we got that. Again, it's I'm glad that we got what we got, but I still wish there was just a little bit more, just like a smidgen, just a little bit more of like characterization towards Aldrin and Keitel for that season, so we can get even more attached to them than what we already are. But what we got is fine as well. This isn't like me shitting on Bungie or anything. Jesus, ugh. Like they're trying their best as is right now. Oh, I guess I have another question related to the whole nightmare stuff. When you guys did that, if you guys play Destiny, when you guys were playing during that season, were you guys like us us being like me and my clan where we kind of sat there like, what would our nightmare be? Would it be Cade or would it be like other things from like the past for like our guardians and stuff? Because that's another thing I really like about like Destiny is that like when it comes to Destiny, there's a lot of points in it where you can use it to make your own story or make your own past for your OCs. And it technically can be canon. And it also technically doesn't have to be canon. And I really like that about Destiny. It's also probably why Destiny has me by the fucking throat, dude. For my hunter, I chose his dead team, kind of challenging the idea that there's an out for him in this conflict between light and dark. Ooh. Ooh. There are so many things you can run with that, too. So for me, okay, so just do you want to know the ending of his particular arc? I would love to know the ending of his particular arc. I love knowing like OC stuff from people because it's so interesting to see how everyone like I love seeing how everyone like does storytelling with their OCs, whether it's like for Destiny or like for their own shit and stuff. Like I love reading about it because it gets the creative juices of my brain going of like, oh shit, that's actually a really good idea to do, or oh man, that's like thought like provoking. I really wish I thought about like doing that with like my characters, or oh man, that's like really fucking sad. I hope you have like a good ending for this character, or else or else I will yoink your kneecaps. Like I love like doing that with like either fan fiction or people's OCs or like franchise OCs. Also, when I say franchise OCs, I literally mean like you choose like Destiny or Skyrim or like insert game here to have like an OC in, and like you instead of what fan fiction quote unquote counts as for a lot of people. What I mean by that is like when it comes to fan fiction or having like stories that deal with like franchises, a lot of people tend to go to, oh my god, it's a ship. It's only not safe for work and shipping of characters. When in reality, a lot of like people who do fan art or fan fiction stuff of like that stuff, at least what I'm talking about, like at least I saw this a lot for the Overwatch community. Um, a lot of people took what the Overwatch community has as lore, and also because Overwatch was really bad with lore and is still very bad with lore up to this day. They took the lore and they took what they liked from it, and then they changed it or they they either changed it or they added onto it. So like an example would be like, oh well, when everyone gets put back into Overwatch, like how would they react to each other? How did they like deal with like certain things? Who like how did they deal with relationship with each other, or even like a lot I would see would be like this is gonna out me for reading fan fiction, but I don't care. Okay, everyone reads fan fiction to some extent, but a lot of the stories I really, really fucking liked, at least when it came to fanfiction in the Overwatch community, was a lot of the. Okay, so there's a ship that is particularly like the main ship that is focused on, but it's not just about their relationship, it's how they got there and how they react to the things outside of the relationship as well. Like, uh, a big a really big ship that like I mostly read about a lot, which I thought was really interesting, was Widowmaker and Hanzo. And I know that sounds really weird, but Widowmaker and Hanzo's like, at least from what I've seen as like relationships with them, is it wasn't about how they like got together, but it was more of how they both helped each other to heal from their past. So like Hanzo, his main thing is like how he still has guilt for like what he's done to his brother and the things he had to do until he like ridded himself of the Shimada clan. And then for Widowmaker, it's the whole thing with her ex-husband, and then the whole thing with Talon, and then how, like, at least in this sense, she's defected from Talon to be a part of Overwatch, and how she is healing from all of that stuff that she's been through, and how these two characters like get closer to each other and become a couple. But it's not just how they do that, it's like how they heal from their past, how like they move forward from it, and how they deal with it, and all that stuff put together makes a story that is very interesting and deals with very interesting themes, that isn't just about their relationship, it isn't just about the fantasy of like how they do the not safe for works. I don't know if any of that makes sense. Like, I really like stories where they take characters and they expand on them and isn't just about one specific thing that they like. Another one would be like uh fucking like another thing would be like people, instead of doing ships, they would literally expand on lore of like Overwatch, and how they would uh like they'll talk about like, oh man, what, like Genji like being a part of like the whole thing with like Zenyatta, and how like, you know, the whole thing of like learn how to like, you know, forgive yourself for all the things that you had to go through, and like all, you know, just all that stuff of the in between leaving Overwatch and then joining Overwatch again, like that entire portion of that middle area where him and Zen have to like travel together and stuff. Like, there's some people who literally focus on that portion and they like make a whole series of like going through that, those like stories of how you heal from all that stuff. Like, I really like those stories because it's so in depth and so like character driven, while also not being super like depressed and super like doomer, gloomer, etc. It's just a lot of like focus on characterization and focus on the humanity of these characters and how to make them interesting while not having to deal with like the whole like, oh, they're in constant fight mode, or oh, they're like in a relationship, or oh, they're like, you know, dealing with angst. Yeah, you can have angst, by the way, but I'm saying like that's the only thing some people focus on. But like, I like the stories where that isn't the only thing they focus on. They focus on like a broader scope of things that will eventually make you like a character or make you enjoy the fanfiction version of a character more so than the actual character that exists. He pretty much has a Jack the Ripper moment, revealing that unlike other Lightbringers, he coped with Dark Age trauma in literally the worst way possible, coming to enjoy the fighting and killing, and that even if he tries to get out, he genuinely can't, so he might as well enjoy the ride. The rest of his team the rest of his team has dreams of stuff after the conflict. He doesn't, but he's committed to see their goals realized. Oh, see, I really like that though, because it's it's the whole thing of, it kind of deals with, I guess it kind of deals with like the real life thing of like what happens like after like the war, I guess. Not like the war as in like a specific one, but I mean like in general of like how people tend to novelize. Shut. Okay, hold on. I need to mute my phone. No, shut up. Shut. I don't want notifications. I need you to shut. You're gonna ruin my fucking train of thoughts if you keep sounding. Anyway, um, he has a way of coping with PTSD. His way of coping with PTSD is out there. Okay, so speaking of that, I like that you're kind of focused on, not focused, maybe not focused. That's not the right word, but like a theme you're kind of going with this character is that like it's kind of like the veteran after the war in a way, not the, again, not the war or a war, it's just a general term when it comes in like people who write this sort of like genre of things. So you're kind of, I guess you're kind of going with like the whole thing of like what happens to a person after the war, and after all that they've been through and after all the trauma they've been through, like yeah, there is a focus. But like after all the things they've been through and that being the only thing they've known, especially because of the fact that guardians are fucking like they've been around for a long time at this point. So like it's like you're kind of in the point of like, so if there is hope for the ending of all this stuff, what happens to those who don't like cannot comprehend that there will be a time where they like are allowed to stop? And I really like that kind of like narrative, like linear, not linear, but like that narrative like thing of like he is willing to do what he can to make his teammates' dreams realized, but he himself doesn't have like that. And it's a lot of, and like what happens once he gets that goal for them, when he himself, like what happens when he reaches that goal with them, but then now he doesn't have a goal anymore. Sort of like that's like the thing, I guess, that like would be like a theme that like you can focus on with him. And it's very interesting because there are so many ways you can go with that. And there's a lot of angst potential with that as well. He didn't see himself or someone like him in a golden age. Yeah. I mean, I can also see like at least like with how Destiny is as a whole, like I guess okay, I'm gonna bring up something that like I may or may not know much about, but like it's just kind of like it's just kind of it's something that I have spoken about to noobs a lot, but it's a lot of just me speculating of what actually happened versus what may actually be in lore and stuff. So bear with me if I get things wrong. But during like the dark ages of Destiny, in the sense of the before times, I know. But during the before times of like when Destiny 1 happens and we're stuck in the fucking dredging era of Guardians and stuff. Um, I'm. It's like one of those things where some Guardians are okay. Some being most, I think, during this time. Got. I didn't know incel was like a fucking word that automods like doesn't allow. Anyway. Anyway, um, some people got edgy. Yes. So, um, it's like there are some guardians from that. We still have guardians from that time. Like, uh, Shax was like a warlord during that time. We also had Saladin who made the Iron Lords during that time. We also had, well, maybe not actually at that time specifically, but like kind of like at the end of the time or whatever. Like there has to have been a guardian from that time who is still very kill hungry, but isn't, and I have to specify this, isn't a Dredgen. Like he isn't the whole thing that like Dredgen Yor and followers of Dredgen Yor fucking go through the whole thing. I mean, in the sense of like he is just that like merciless, that like type of person who literally cannot stop the bloodlust that he's gotten from that time up till now. And it makes sense if, even if he's managed, he or she, I guess, he or she has managed to calm that bloodlust down, that if we ever have a peacetime, like there's no threat of Sabathun, there's no threat of like the Dark Ages. There's no threat of pyramid ships. There's no threat of the light being taken. There's no threat anymore. How would these characters cope with that sort of situation? And that's a very interesting like take. And also it's a very interesting thing that people can dive into with their characters that not a lot of I don't think a lot of people have thought about. Outside of the whole, oh, they'll just be they'll still be the same as they were before, which is, in my opinion, very lazy writing. But, like, during a peacetime or during a point in time where there is no more conflict, how would these characters cope with the fact that they will feel like they're not needed anymore? Because right now, Guardians are needed to patrol, to go on strikes, to go on like during nightfalls, and not like actual things, but I mean in the sense of like they're still needed to do things that still require like shooting a gun at something and murking something and etc. Like right now we are still in that time, but what happens when those times are no longer a thing and those people who are so ingrained in doing that to feel like they are important, what happens to those people and what do they have to do to cope, or how do they not cope? That is very interesting for people to kind of like go into as writers and characters and people who have OCs in the Destiny community. But for me specifically, I haven't seen people who have kind of like dove into that head first. Everyone's still kind of like tiptoeing around the edge of like what that is, because a lot of people don't think that deeply about like their OCs like in that sort of like environment, because we're still in the sense of we're probably going to go into like the dark ages of what Elsie told us about, or what we read about in that one lore book. We're probably still going to have to go through like the darkness for a long time. We're going to have to like still fight for a long time, so there is no point of thinking about the peacetime of like the future after Destiny like eventually ends, because let's be honest here, Bungie can't just keep Destiny going forever. So when Bungie decides to end Destiny as a franchise and gives us an ending, how will our OCs react after that ending? Because things don't just end at the ending of Destiny or at an ending of a franchise. People still continue with their characters, still make stories of their characters. People will still do the thing of the aftermath of an ending that a lot of people tend to not think about, but like I hope at the end of Destiny people start kind of like getting into. Like it would be very interesting to see how everyone makes their characters react, or how their characters go through all that, because I haven't seen anybody kind of like delve into those topics for Destiny as of right now, because we haven't reached an ending. If anything, we're probably just now getting started with like worse things to come sort of thing. Oh, that sounds so sad. Go on, that sounds so sad. That could mean so many things. Don't Smiley! No! No! That's so sad. Oh no. I mean, that's not for everyone, right? Like, I have an idea for how this character will end up. Okay, that. Ooh, a few, but like, I'll narrate it down later. I mean, you have a lot of time before you like even have to think about like endings to characters and stuff. So I think you'll be fine. But Jesus Christ, that makes me so sad, and I don't even know this character like that well. But again, it's like it's very interesting to see how everyone like deals with characters if like you were to put them in those scenarios. And I really like it. I just wish that like I wish some people didn't hide their like OCs. Oh yeah, him. Oh, he's good. He's so sad. Fun fact: he originated from a funny head. Oh God, what's the head canon? It's mostly due to people not really having the sort of structure system in place to keep ideas. True. Though to be fair, like I think for a lot of the Destiny community, um, I think a lot of people are use a lot of people in the Destiny community are mostly um like actual in-game stuff and not like the creative aspect of like OC making, if that makes sense. So like a lot of people are like, you know, content creators in the sense of like going play and video game stuff and not making OCs and how like things could be for those OCs or and stuff like that. Which in my opinion, it's kind of a shame because Destiny literally is the most open like to making OCs that I've ever seen in a fandom. But then again, I'm not like a part of a lot of fandoms. Halo Reach was the last game made by Bungie prior to Destiny 1. Yeah. I guess Halo was also like another thing people used a lot for like OC stuff, but I don't know much about Halo. I've never played, and the only thing I've played from it was so with how Halo Reach ends and with how Destiny begins, my funny headcanon is that Predaz got revived as. I mean, with how Dares of Eternity was, it wouldn't surprise me if they made that like canon. Which, by the way, is like a really like funny and nice thing that Bungie did that I think was like really cool. When Dares drops, I imagined a lot more people to be hyped than actually shown via Twitter. I was actually very surprised at how little like people were like talking about like it. Only when the fucking thing dropped for it was that I hear a lot of people like praise Bungie about it. It's a very good like uh it's the proper word homage to Halo that like Bungie did. I think it was really done well. As much as I don't actually play theirs, I still think it's done very well. I still find it very funny that the horse is technically voice acted by somebody. Uh It was very well done. I really enjoyed like that little thing they did. I was like, oh, that's really cute. I like that a lot when it like when we went through that whole thing. I thought it was done really well and really cute. I think I think me and Noobs when we went through that part of theirs afterwards we like talked about how like we talked about headcanons of what ifs and stuff for Halo characters or like Halo things and stuff. Like how oh man, what if like character here like what if the main character Destiny is actually like Mr. Chief or something? He was being a light or whatever the fuck we talked about. I don't remember. It's been a hot minute, but we talked about it a little bit, and I thought it was really funny and like a. It would surprise me if it turned out to be like legitimate. I imagine Forerunner to be my hunter's main weapon, mainly because I like the thought of an enemy screaming, "Oh my god, run for your lives! He's got the Halo 1 pistol!" I guess another thing I could ask. So when new seasons come out, do you guys like do the thing where you reevaluate what your characters have been through and what each character has done or has not done? Like I guess a example would be so for Nor, she's done Red War, she's done Osiris Curse of Osiris, she didn't do Warmind, she did uh Forsaken. Well, she did Black Armory, Forsaken, Opulent. Maybe not Opulence. Maybe Opulence? Question mark. Um. Okay, I wish I wrote this down. I don't remember. I know me and fucking noobs talked about this a lot, but I don't fucking remember specifically what it is. But I think she did Opulence, and then she skipped Shadowkeep because I didn't enjoy Shadowkeep, and I'll probably I'll talk about that in a bit. But so she skipped Shadowkeep. She did oh fuck. I And this is where you realize I don't remember any of the fucking seasonal like content names. I just know what we did. She revived Saint. Also spoilers by the way for people who are not caught up, I guess, but I guess that doesn't really matter, question mark. Um so she revived Saint. Um she did Splicer. And probably some other stuff that I'm not remembering. Noobs, you can help me in a bit if you want. You can like send me a DM or you can post it. I don't remember. I used to try to get a lot of my OCs to be doing something either concerning a main conflict, raid season, or something leading up to the next conflict. Yeah. For me, I tend to do the things, or at least for me, I tend to have my OCs do certain things that I think that they would do, even if me myself have done those seasons. So like, Nora's done most of the seasons. Verdandi, my Titan, started in Witch Queen, and Lillian, my Warlock, has been around since like Destiny 2's beginning, like during Red War, but she hasn't been like actively doing, like, she's been in every single season, but she hasn't like been a main player in those seasons. She's mostly just been like, you know, extra warlock in a, normal fire team that like protects and supports, etc. So like she's like the extra that hasn't been like a main character until recently. Like, at least that's how I've decided to like put those characters into like the story so far. Um I've also done the thing where uh each character has their own season that they are overly active in, and that's technically when they started. So example would be Nor, technically, like, she's from the very beginning of Destiny 2, but technically when she started actually being a quote unquote main character slash main cast was during uh Black Armory, because I'm predictable. Anyway, um, but she started during Black Armory. That's when she became like a main cast character slash main character. Um, for Verdandi, because I came up with her concept after Void 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever the fuck our new Void numbers are. Um, I threw her into Witch Queen, and then Lillian is technically supposed to be like a new thing for the new solar stuff. So she like technically is the main character for that thing. Which, by the way, when I get my vendor stuff done, which I don't know when I'm gonna get done because I hate doing the UI part of it, um when that's finished and done, she's going to be like the main person to go to for like all the solar stuff. Which, yes, technically I understand in game, like, Ikora has yoinked all of that, but in my opinion, I wish Ikora like did something else other than just give us subclass stuff. But that's just me. I'm glad that she has a use, but I still wish she had like other uses, I guess. um but anyway, uh oh yeah, I also plan on updating. Also, this is me just talking about like drawing stuff now. So, uh, I think most people on Twitter know me as like the person who's like done like the vendor drawings, or at least some vendor things. Obviously, a lot of people have done the vendor things, but like, um, I think most people have seen like my vendor stuff. Uh, but my so I'm planning on redrawing my Eleanor slash Nor one's vendor drawing and updating the UI. Mostly because I've changed her entire outfit since fucking 2019. Um, I don't plan on updating Verdandi's because hers is as new as possible with her with the UI and stuff. And I am currently working on Lillian's. So once I'm done with Lillian's, I'm gonna redo Nora's, and then um possibly uh I don't know. I may just kind of retire the vendor stuff because I do have it as like a commission that you guys can choose to as a thing, but it's overly expensive. It's the most expensive thing I have, and there's a lot of rules to it that I put on purpose because Vendor drawings are the things that take forever for me to do. Not because of the drawing portion, but because having to figure out UI and properly making sure that it all looks correct and it's all as accurate as possible. Um, Along with making like custom stuff in general for that as well. Like all that stuff put together has equal to me being like, yeah, if I'm ever gonna do this as a commission for somebody, they have to follow all of these rules. And also, you guys have to pay a lot of money in order for me to do this because it takes so much time. Like, if I worked on it, like, from the beginning straight through, like, till the end, it would probably take me, like, a month or two to do it. And that's, like, if I take breaks in between. Actually, no, that's me not taking breaks in between. Me taking breaks would take, like, 2 months. Because if I look, um, I think so. I started. Okay, so just like as a thing, right? I'm pretty sure when I did the Verdandi vendor drawing, I started it. So when I created it February, Friday, December 31st of 2021. When I finished it though, um, oh god, I have to like scroll through Twitter because I don't remember when I posted it. So I started it like when I created this file, it was Friday, December 31st of 2021. When I posted this on Twitter, which would have been like I would have probably finished it like really early in the day. It was May 20th of 2022. So that took me 5 months to do. So I guess I lied when I said that it would have taken me a month. This would take me a good few months to do actually. So with that being said, if people had wanted me to do a vendor drawing, they would literally have to wait like probably like 3 to 5 months to get just this done. I guess I could show it. I could show the sci file, I guess. Would you guys be interested in seeing like the sci file? Okay, so oh, you guys can't see. I on purpose cropped out the layering stuff. Just so you guys know. So the layering, I have 163 layers. And I have it separated as the UI, the character itself, and then the background. And then I have a folder with like all the sketches and extra stuff that I have separate just because there is a high chance that I will either forget something or fuck something up. So I have to separate. I have a separate folder where I put like uh the outline as as like all the every single piece of the outline that is separate from. Okay, how do I explain this actually? Easy way for you to add purpose to say a vendor that is selling fragments is adding new fragments. Since Bungo is gonna add a new solar fragment. You're right, I could do that. But I'm lazy and that equals to a lot of effort and a lot of time. You and I are definitely gonna talk about that when I actually get to that point with Lillian's drawing. But for right now, I don't want to think about that. um but I have a whole folder where I have like a separate file for like her body, and then I have a separate file for the armor on top of the body without anything being erased, and then I have like um the sketches of like her in different poses, and then I also have just like extra things that I have to add in, like the Iron Lord symbol here. This is a obviously like yoinked from Google, like transparent BG sort of thing, that I yoinked off Google, and I have that as a separate file just in case I fuck up and either delete it, can't find it in the line art, or it's just like it's just like not looking good, and I need like just it as a flat image to adjust again. I have all that as like a separate thing, and then I also have like the original UI along with the original uh like just thing in general for the UI. And then I also have the background in multiple different backgrounds that I had to use for the like thing, because this background, by the way, just says like a note, when it comes to the backgrounds, I literally have to run around the entirety of like Destiny looking for like unique areas where a vendor could be in. So there's just a file that I have of just like where could a vendor look good like standing in, that like looks good as a background but doesn't make any sense like actual gameplay wise. So that's like another thing that I have to worry about as well. Cause like this is the background I used. And it's literally within the swamp area of the throne world, like kind of towards like the temple at the very back. And it's like a really weird spot, but and also really difficult to get a fucking picture of, by the way. But that's where I got this image, and I just used it because there ain't no fucking way I'm drawing my own goddamn Destiny background for this shit. Because background's already pain enough for me, okay? Anyway, and then I have just the character itself that, like, I have to have separate just because. And then I have the UI, which is so many fucking folders with files in it that are a mixture of not only like the images themselves, but of like each piece of text. This entire process took 5 months, and this is why it took 5 months. Also, you're not the only person who really likes my Titan lady. I really like her too, but also, Jesus Christ, Destiny Twitter loves Verdindiel a little too much. But yeah, that like Verdindy, like her vendor drank forever. I don't even want to look at Nora's because hers also took forever. And as much fun as I have doing them, the main issue I have with them is I have to either adjust the UI depending on um Bungie's new UI, or I have to literally custom make a few things like the icon symbols that either the icon symbols themselves for the vendors, or I have to like put the little like corner indication of like what each like what is it, like each piece of armor, each piece of weaponry that's in their inventory, like what quote unquote season they come from, and like oh my god, just so much other shit. And technically speaking too, that UI that I used is a mixture of old UI and the new UI. And if I have to do Lillian's, I have to go fully like the full new UI that like exists now. And God, like that's gonna take forever, and that's why I haven't touched it in so long. Not only that, but I also didn't have my computer at the time. But even if I did, I probably still wouldn't have finished it or used or like worked on it till now because it's the most. It's my most like it's my most difficult project to do out of like most things that I do as like projects to begin with. Also, sorry, like sorry that like I do the thing where I stop drawing when I talk about things because I'm sure like you guys are you guys want me to like continue drawing while also talk about things, but when I get really hyper fixated on explaining something, I tend to just stop what I'm doing and do a lot of gestures as if you guys can see the gestures, and then like talk about whatever the fuck I'm talking about for like a good bit. And then after a while, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm drawing shit. And then come back to actually drawing it. So, sorry if you guys are like sitting there like, man, she hasn't touched her canvas in forever. Did she, like, are we audio only? I don't know if you're being sarcastic with me. um, I is there anything you guys want to know more about, like OCs or like hot takes of character stuff or whatever? We can also talk about like um what is it? I want to say it's character analysis, but technically speaking, it's not really character analysis either. Hmm. I don't know what else to talk about in the sense of what would be interesting, like I don't know what would be interesting to talk about in the sense of like uh creative writing and stuff like that. Um I guess what do you guys find like the most interesting thing when you guys read, whether it's in game or not, by the way. This like everyone reads, okay? Like I know the big haha funny is how gamers can't read. Well, you can resume a see to see how much you can recall about the character without looking at Toy House. Fuck you! I could do that. I don't look at Toy House much anyway, and plus, I, I haven't touched Toy House in forever. I guess I could do that too. Um, Terra. So Terra is a Lamonya from some fucking place I never named. Mom is Alice, or Alicia, not Alice. Uh, I never give her dad a name. Uh, uh, she is a technically speaking, she is a hybrid between, maybe one day you should name places and have a general world map. I have a world map that I made that's still scuff, and I kind of like it, but kind of don't. But, God, making names for places, worst thing ever. I mean, James, in the fucking RP we were like a part of, like, the places I named weren't even that fucking great or creative or anything, and like, ugh. But yeah, I guess just to explain, um, we had a we were a part of a DeviantArt that eventually turned into a insert site here RP server that eventually turned into a Discord server, and technically I was the owner of it after a while, or it was the owner of it for like a good bit, and um I I I can world build. Like, okay, it's not that I can't world build, and it's not that I don't like world building. I love world building. It's just after handling a whole fucking roleplay server that, like, had problems, also not really problems that I couldn't really solve, also, like, other issues. Um, I kind of I have an issue where I don't enjoy like putting things into canon for some things anymore. Like a lot of what would happen would be like, oh, you make like a new area and you name it, and then people are like, oh yeah, that's a good area. I'll definitely use it, and then it just doesn't get used, or people claim that it wasn't a good idea to begin with, or whatever. And anyway, um, so like when it comes to world building and naming places and stuff, like I guess it's not. It's kind of like you don't have, you being me really. I don't have like the confidence to like name and do world building as much anymore. Even though that sounds kind of stupid. Um, but I don't know. Like said that writing down stuff is good for internal logic. It would help in making an OC. Lego DMs from D&D will make a whole ass world, but the players only see 5% of it. You're right. I guess for me, it's also the thing of like, even if I were to make the world, like who knows if I'll have to like reach like, not that I have to, but like if I'll like change it and stuff later, and I will most likely do that. But like it would be helpful if I just don't name things to begin with, so I don't have to go through the hassle of like, man, do I really want to change that when it's already like a well established thing or not? But then again, the story has been a thing for like while. Commit. Shut up! Commit. Can't just say that to me. Fuck you. Skill issue. Just commit, Lamo. Pick off. Hi. How you doing, Ray? Oh, how's that going? I just got dragon. Oh, dragoon, I mean. I don't know what that is. But good for you, I guess. Level 9's up to 30, so now I'm a... Oh, I see. pointy stick. Oh, whoa, what is... Oh, I guess I could ask this. When you guys make your characters, do you guys, like, assign colors to them? Or, like, a color scheme to them? It doesn't even matter if you draw them or not. Green and black. Like for my character with their color themes, it's like green and black or green and gold. I mostly ask because, like, that's another way to, like, kind of characterize your character without having to full blown, like, figure out what they look like. Because colors can have a lot of meaning. Depending on the meaning, it can be good or bad, and it can tell the difference between a good character and a bad character. But that's in the sense of, like, if they're a villain or not. Not that if they're, like, actually, like, terrible characters or whatever. Like, more of just, like, to tell apart, like, a villain from, like, an anti-hero or, like, a anti-hero from uh, a hero, etc., etc. Or maybe there's, like, color schemes that you don't think deserve to be, like, in, uh, like... Example would be, like, green shouldn't be like a motif for evil all the time, or purple shouldn't be like a theme for like royalty rich people or like evil people that are, you know, rich and stuff and stuff. Oh, you didn't really miss much. I like took like a small break of talking to like art a little bit, and then just kind of like I brought up the topic of, do you guys have a color theme or scheme that you use for your characters even if you don't draw? Lois started with just purple, black, then added burgundy, gold, etc. in her shades. So okay, I guess so. I mean, even if you don't like think about it, like you still add like some sort of like color schemes to like your character to like kind of put in more personality. Even though yes, I do know that you like purple and stuff, but you still add other colors as well. Like it's not just like haha purple, but you know what I mean. Cuz uh so for me to um tell the different, okay, maybe this is just like how I draw, or maybe this is just the server I was in. But when I was a part of the roleplay server that existed for a while, people could not tell the difference between. I mean, I had one character change color schemes. And gal used to be purple thing, now she's grays and browns. So when I was a part of the fucking roleplay server, people couldn't tell the difference between Tara and her mom. And so every time I would post an art piece of either one of them, it would always be a mixture of like, oh my god, is that Ace? Is that Tara? Is that, who's that? And then I have to explain without like, I would have to explain who it is, even though in my opinion it was like easy to tell who's who. But maybe like that's just me expecting too much out of people. I don't know. But anyway, what I went with these two OCs in particular was, um, Alicia slash Ace would be like sunset colors, so really like dark, reds, oranges, and purples and blue. Well, not even blues, just like a lot of oranges, yellows, reds, and blues. And then Terra would be like sunrises, where it's like a lot of gold, um, like gold, pink, blue, uh, and like really light purples and really kind of like a bright red, but also more pastel looking reds would be like what her stuff would be like. So it'd be like sunsets would be Alicia's color schemes, and then sunrises would be Terra's color schemes. And when I say sunrises, I mean like almost like I don't remember if golden hours are like sunrises or sunsets, but like uh golden hours are like what my thing was for Terra, where like it's like a lot of rich, bright, like new day sort of colors, while uh Alicia would have like uh kind of like night, uh like past, quote unquote, past colors, because it's supposed to be like the dynamic of the old generation versus the new generation sort of thing, because that's their whole character theme. We have the old generation, um who've done all the legwork for the new generation to be able to run, and then the ones who have to run are the ones who are supposed to be the bright future, the bright like sun, the new day, etc. While the old generation is supposed to set and have like retirement slash like um uh retirement slash sleep slash like they're supposed to be a little bit more rundown and like done for the day slash their time. Not that they perish or anything, but like it's like they're past their prime of like when uh like you know what I mean? Like it's like that kind of like stuff and things of like metaphors and other bullshit. Obviously, like you don't have to think that hard for your character, but it's like the thing that I like kind of think about a lot when it comes to like character stuff. Uh, cause like I have a character. Her name's Amelie. She a bitch. I love her. She's like, she's my more adult themed character for certain things, and maybe like dips into not safe for work territory a smidgen. Look, I love her because she's like my first ever villain character that I've ever made, and like she is she is the worst character ever in the sense of morality and stuff, but like I love her so fucking much. Anyway, but she's like my only villain character that is very insane, and uh I love using her in a lot of contexts because it's so fun, and I understand why a lot of people like villain characters a lot now. Well, I mean, I liked villain characters to begin with, but I now understand how writing a villain character is very, very fun But the thing is that like she's just fucking chaotic as fuck. Okay, chaotic evil is like the thing I would describe her as, because she's a mean bitch and she does whatever the fuck she wants without care for like anyone's safety, even her own. And I love her. Anyway, anyway, for her color motifs are a lot of like, um, her main color is like red, like what you would assume like a villain slash villainess slash what's the archetype, like the hot villain, like what you would assume they would wear. So like super like hot red with like red lipstick. Yeah, super mommy. Yeah, I know. Anyway, but like she's very like based around like see, that's not my issue. My issue is all my friends and girlfriends try to look. Sometimes it just do be like that. But like she is literally like she is a bitch. She's mean. She is the holy shit. I have a fear boner of this woman, but I would still want to get crushed by her thighs. Sort of fucking like. She's that type of person. Anyway, but yes. Anyway, that's her character, and her main color schemes are super bright red, but also lots of like earthy tones. So like a lot of browns, a lot of like tan slash like gray colors, a lot of like pretty much muted brown colors. And they monetize. Shut up! I don't care. I'm not being monetized anyway. Anyway, but her main tones are like lots of browns, grays, and like blacks. And then her main color is the brightest red possible because I wanted it to stand out. And then her accents are gold. Because of course, these are like the most main villain colors you can ever have on a character to signify how tall is this lady? She's like uh so she tall, but here's the thing. Her sizing depends on how I feel. Mostly because she's a demon slash slime demon girl. Yeah, she's goop. Anyway. Give or take, like, what she normally stands at is 6'2", 6'3". Or I put her at 6'1", I don't fucking remember. She's around that area. But, like, that's like, that's, the thing is that's with her, that's her with heels. But the thing is, I don't know if like I want to keep her that way because again, she's a demon who shapeshifts, but like in a slime, like how slimes would shapeshift sort of way. Hi, Kier. Anyway, so she like I call her a demon slime girl sort of thingy, but yeah, but she's like I think what I put her as is like a 6'2" level of like height, and she the thing is I made her that height because I wanted her to be she's height foot fuck you. Anyway, I made her that height because I wanted her to be tall, intimidating, and like pure like holy shit this person's tall AF sort of like reactionary things. You're right. It's also because when it comes to character stuff, if your female lady character villain person is like not of the quote unquote cute height of like 5 foot tall or smaller, because that's apparently what a lot of characters call cute height when it comes to character design, I guess. If she's not that height, it's either because she's trying to portray like a certain um character trope, or she's like villain slash like outsider, like insert like all the negatives that you would put onto like a character for not being like a certain way or whatever the fuck they like people do nowadays with like character design. And so I decided to be super like quirky and cool by being like, oh yes, I'm gonna follow the trend and make her like 6 something and like shapeshift, and also like could definitely murk people sort of like character. And that's done on purpose because her main thing, and I'm going back to the roleplay, the main thing that I used her for in the roleplay was a lot of villain stuff and a lot of like um other things. Anyway, but while I'm talking about her, she's like on purpose made as a sex appeal, yes, sex appeal character, while also she's supposed to be very intimidating and very like you can try as hard as you can try as hard as you want to defeat me, but I'm always gonna come back and I'm always gonna be the most menacing and also menace of a person as possible to like ruin people's lives. Technically speaking, I did kind of base her off of Evelyn from League, but like not really. She's kind of worse in a lot of ways. I kind of like ran wild with her for a good bit, and that's why I really like her because one, she's a character outside of my comfort zone when it comes to roleplay and character making. Because I don't like making villains, because it's, in my opinion, making a villain is really fucking hard. What do you mean how? I know what Evelyn is. Technically speaking, yes, you're right. I know that. I know that. Oh, oh my fucking god, you guys. I understand. But at the same time, Amelie is worse in like a character level and not just like yes, evil. Why are you guys bullying me? Pick off. Anyway, so Fick you guys. Anyway, so the entirety of Amelie's whole thing is that like at least in the role play, she showed up one day and was like, "Ha, I'm gonna cause panic and like be a menace to society." And it just fucking shot off from there, and a lot of people really liked her, and I thought I did a really good job at her because like I used her in a way of like a tragic villain backstory. So I guess to explain the roleplay a little bit more, I have to explain the roleplay to explain where she came from and how she became a thing. So in the world of the roleplay that I made, in the world that I made for the roleplay, pretty much. So we have a pantheon of gods, and the gods are they're based off of Greek mythology, among Norse mythology, among insert mythos here. So shut the fuck up. So pretty much anything that deals with like mythos and stuff, they're all based upon the main themes of how gods and goddesses become a thing. Shut. You guys are so mean to me. Anyway. I'm being bullied by my friends who decided to fucking just crash in here, even though I see them in Discord just chilling. Anyway, you anyway, so we have the pantheon of like I think we had like six gods or some fucking bullshit. We had at the time we had like me as the owner, and then like I think five or so mods, admins or whatever, and they both had a god, and each god was supposed to just be kind of like a entity that the people of the town like worshipped pretty much because it was based around the whole aspect of like how people like praise the gods for like the normal fucking like thing that people would praise gods for. And each character or each person would have a god, and each person who doesn't who I didn't at least I tried to not allow. Shut up! I do what I want. I do what I want, okay? Anyway, so it's one of those things where each god like every person had a god and every person had a disciple under that god. And the disciple's the main person that's supposed to that's supposed to um like be the main person who like does the things that like the quote unquote god intended. While the gods weren't supposed to be in play, but eventually in the roleplay were put into play, and I didn't stop it because like I thought it was fine because nobody fucking went ham with it. And with how the roleplay was going, it made sense that the gods would start to fucking like be a part of the problem and some other shit and stuff. Anyway, um that stuff happened. And like the thing with Amelie was that her whole thing was she used to be a person who was trying to be a disciple of one of the gods, and it happened to be the earth goddess. Don't remember her name, but she was an earth goddess. And uh her tragedy, because of course it's supposed to be mythos and stuff, so we have tragedies for these characters. Or at least we attempted to have tragedies for these characters. There's a reason why we fucking scrapped this idea after a while, even though in my opinion there didn't need to be. It required people to just suck it up and do certain things that like should have happened but just didn't. Anyway, um so the tragedy was she was blamed for doing something that another disciple did and then was punished for it, and she came back like decades slash eons slash however the fuck long ago it's been. She came back and decided and doesn't remember anything. Just remembers that all she wants is to like fuck over people and like cause havoc and rain hell on like the people of the town. That was her whole thing. The problem is that with the roleplay, it didn't end up going a certain way that I thought it was going to go. Not that I like it's not that I assumed it was going to go a certain way or that like I wanted it to go a certain way, because that's not how open roleplay works. The thing that happened was that like the people um the people in the sense of the townsfolk got into a us versus them sort of mentality thanks to a lot of like a lot of things that players, aka like actual like player characters, I guess, slash OCs, like it's like consequences of their actions, sort of reactionary like things that the townspeople uh like reacted to. And apparently it got so bad because people couldn't figure out how to stop the conflict, and it got so bad that like gods had to like god's disciples and like other like the and like things had to like get played. And that's the problem when it came to this RP, or at least this RP idea, because um people just became so used to the fact of other roleplay rooms where it doesn't matter what the fuck you do, people like the NPCs will be NPCs and they don't care. The problem with what I had set up was that NPCs are going to give a fuck about whether or not you ruin their house, whether or not you ruin their like town, whether you fucking like destroy their town, whether you decide to fucking decide like I'm gonna steal money from a bank. Like yeah, they're gonna be pissed off at you about it. And if you don't fix that, or if there's no repercussion to you, then people are going to be fucking mad and people are going to start wanting you out of their town. The thing is, it got the problem with the roleplay was that people didn't deal with that. So when the townsfolk got to the point where they were starting to rally against these magical fucking powerful beings of like superhero level of like magical beings and stuff, like they're just regular people going against pretty much superheroes. So the main issue that started happening was they're obviously going to lose, but they're still going to try anyway. But the main issue was that this was where people started using them as cannon fodder, and then it got worse as gods would do if their people and worshippers were getting fucked, was, oh shit, we need to go down there and try and fix the problem. And the entire roleplay had to be reset because of this issue. Anyway, the reason why I bring that up is because Amelie, her whole thing was a new god that we allowed to do this, by the way. A new person was trying to be a god, and the god was the god of fear. And, like, it makes sense, like, in context of what happened in roleplay stuff. But anyway, pretty much it was supposed to be like, like the bad guys want to have a place in the godhood pantheon thing, and like the gods can't just say no because he has everything that like would fit the role that he wants to play. And he has a disciple which also means that he has a place because he has everything that equals up to, yeah, he can be a god. And he has, and by the way, when we set this up, it was like we set it up properly. We made sure everyone understood everything, but it was still a problem later on due to players being assholes. Anyway, so the thing with Amelie was that she like was supposed to be hiding from the gods, but then the gods used her to try and uh pretty much stop the god of fear from rising up into like godhood. And instead of stopping him, it in fact made him want to do it even more because it showed how corrupt the gods were by using like inhumane tactics of literally using somebody as blackmail. Which, by the way, this sort of storytelling, in my opinion, was fine and dandy. It's just it didn't go the way we wanted, and eventually everyone just decided we're just not gonna go with the storyline. We're not gonna go with this storytelling. We need to reset the entirety of this because the conflict between like the like the outsiders, which would be the player OCs and the NPCs, was way too tense that like there's no way people can like do this comfortably anymore. Again, the main issue was nobody wanted to do that and nobody was used to doing that, so everyone just kind of let it simmer until it got to this bad of a point. So then we had to reset, and then we just completely took out gods, we completely took out the disciples, we completely took out uh NPCs giving a fuck, because that just became too big of a like structure for people to comprehend or something. So we took all that out. But that's pretty much the entirety of Amelie's backstory and why she's supposed to be treated as a tragic villain character, but also she's not supposed to be treated like, oh no, like we should save her, sort of like villain, like tragic character. More of, yeah, she is like this because of the consequences of actions that are outside of her control, and she doesn't want to go back to like how she was. She in fact wants to continue being a menace to society, sort of like thing. And that's why I say she's a bitch, but I love her sort of like reaction to her to like why I say that. Kind of, but that's pretty much what her like character was. But now she's just a menace to society just because she's a menace to society. Just like me, for real. Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, every OC is just like you in some way, shape, and form anyway. Just don't think too hard about that. Just don't think too hard about that fact, and you'll be good. Oh no. But yeah, that's why I really liked her character and why I continue to use her character uh like for certain drawings and possibly later drawings. Look, bitchy characters are the best characters, okay? Okay, it depends on how bitchy they are too. Cuz there is a certain point where they become like way too much. Look, sometimes you just have to make a character that just says the things that you want to say to people without like them realizing that it's out of character. No, I'm joking, but like it's really fun to have characters that are mean slash bitchy and just say whatever the fuck they want because like I don't know, there are some situations where you're just like, man, I wish I had a character that would just say it like certain things flat out so that way we can get through this entire like process a lot quicker. If they're mean to me, it's hot. I'm not talking about dropkick or toddler bitchy characters. Now it's just because I'm tired of being the good boy TM and I just want to go bananas. You ever just want to go ape shit? To be fair, Jotun, you have a lot of good boys and good girls character wise. It doesn't surprise me that eventually you were just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna have one terrible character and no one can stop me. Honest speaking, about fucking time. Anyway, going back to talk about colors because this whole entire thing stemmed off of talk about colors and color choices for OCs. um, I have another character. Her name's Aurora, and of course I decided to go. You know, it would be funny. Multiple colors. Ugh. Anyway, she's a pain to draw. Mostly, okay, she's not that big of a pain to draw. It's more of it's hard to color her, or it's annoying to color her because of how many colors she's like based off of. But anyway, her main color is like a turquoise slash like the in between like the brightest green and the brightest blue, pretty much. And one, it's because her main thing again, her name is Aurora. You're gonna assume the most basic bitch thing, because of course she is. Her fucking hair is multicolored, and it's all like colors that an Aurora would have. That ranges from blues to like pinks and reds and stuff. But like her main color that she wears is a yeah, her main color that she wears is like a turquoise blue. And it's supposed to represent where she comes from and her culture, um which is based around like the ocean. And I understand that the ocean's not turquoise and it's not technically blue either because it's like, you know, science of the sky's not even blue. The sky's actually like whatever fucking color. I don't care, okay? The thing is, at least we're shut up. Anyway, the thing about her home is that at least in my brain, it's like mostly like turquoise slash blues and greens because no shit. And so she mostly has those colors that represent her home because her main thing is she wants to go home. She wants to go back to the life she used to have, and she doesn't want to stay here anymore. Stay here being wherever the fuck she is right now. And um again, it's a super tragic fucking backstory, and I'm not gonna talk about it because honestly speaking, I kind of need to redo her backstory a good bit. Um, but you've seen her. She's my dragon lady. I don't think I need to bring her up, but if you need me to, I will. She's my dragon lady, and she very cute and very tall, and yeah. But her main colors are like blues and turquoise and green. Well, not like dark green, but like as light green as possible. You don't know my dragon lady? Okay, hold on. I'm bringing her up. Hold on. Give me a second. This is my dragon lady. Her name's Awowa. Also, yes, she tall too, okay? But she's very pretty and I like her a lot, but I don't do much with her, like story-wise. Um, she's also from the same. She 1 foot tall. Fuck off. Anyway, she's from this. So all my characters are from the same world. It's just I just don't do much with her. Um, but this is her older than like older in a certain predicament that I haven't. Well, I fleshed it out with noobs, but um I haven't really decided if that's what I want to do with her or not, like in actuality. And also if I do want to talk about like this character with people, I don't know if I wanted to do that. Anyway, um but yeah, this is my dragon lady. Her name's Oboa, and she's very cute, and I like her a lot, and she's trauma. She's got a lot of trauma. Anyway, um, but as you can see, her main colors are like this like dark. Well, her being older, her main color clothes wise is like a darker like green, like a dark I wanted to say emerald, but like at the same time, this isn't really an emerald green either. Kind of sea green. It's like sea green during like a stormy day sort of like color. And like it's got cracks of gold and like blues in it. And yeah, prismarine color from Minecraft. That is exactly what this color is too. Holy. But yeah, she's not a Minecraft OC. You fucking piece of shit. Anyway, but she's my dragon character and I I I wish I could do more with her, and I wish I like set up more stuff with her. I also wish I roleplayed with her a little bit more, but not a lot of people wanted to roleplay when I had her out, and so I just kind of tossed her into like the bin, not the bin, but like I threw her on the back burner for a long time. And now that I no longer do well, so far I no longer do roleplay. She's just kind of like she's currently like in a she's on a team with like two OCs from Noobs right now, and this is her older, and she's supposed to look like she's been through a lot. And since she's a dragon OC, and since she's from my world, and like at the beginning of the stream, like 2 hours ago, I already explained what dragons represented in my world, but I'm gonna re explain that in case you guys weren't here. Um, Dragons in my world, they are gods. And then there are normal dragons. Okay. There are normal dragons that are seen as demigods, and then there are creator dragons that are counted as gods. And, like, she is a part of just the normal dragons who have unlimited magic, but there are limitations to that magic. While creator gods or creator dragons are the ones who literally made the universe and made the world. So that is a difference between those two like types of like dragon. And in Terra's world slash her world slash general world that I made for these characters to live in, right now there is a current hunt for dragons for their magic. Not that the world is losing magic, but just because people are in the mindset that because they are quote unquote demigods, they have more potential of magic and people can use that for their own greed and they can extract that for those purposes when in reality people are gonna fucking realize that no, you can't just do that without any repercussions of like the universe literally smiting you about it. So, with that being said, her tragic backstory is her people got attacked by. So, the way Aurora's home is set up is it's in like a cove slash cave thing, and people don't attack them due to the fact that it's a disadvantage to get bottlenecked in this fucking cave like thing. Like it's very advantageous for like her people to like deal with attackers and stuff because it's only one way in and the only way out is through like caverns and stuff that they have to go through and only they know the way out through that way. The problem is you can still bottleneck like people who are trying like you may get bottlenecked in this like very advantageous thing, but you could also lock them in from going out through the biggest way that they know that like the biggest entrance and exit that they have. So people took advantage of that and Aurora and a few of her and like her people managed to get out while their like main army or whatever like deals with the attackers on the inside, and her people who are mainly magic, mystic people, based magic, whatever. They are like, okay, we're gonna send you guys to a different universe or a different world because um again, in my world, dragons after a while they will move to a different universe, or they will move to make a new universe depending on where the world eventually gets to, they will leave. And um and the thing with them is that every single type of dragon can leave. It's just harder for normal, quote unquote, normal dragons to leave versus their uh god godly parts who could just leave whenever the fuck they want. So, in order for Aurora to have survived this entire ordeal, they send her out into a different universe, and she ends up in the roleplay world that we made. Right now she's no longer there, and she's went back to the world that she originally came from. No. No, I lied. She's gone out of the roleplay world that we made, and she's currently in some Noobs's current world with his two OCs because uh it just makes sense for them, I guess, because reasons I don't want to talk about, because technically speaking, it's not my OCs, it's his OCs, and he can talk about it if he wants to, but I bet you he went to bed because it's late AF for him. Unless he's still in chat, then he's gonna yell at me, I guess. Anyway, um, but yeah, uh, that's her whole ordeal. Also, I am sorry Twitch is bugging the fuck out for you guys. Um, TLDR, Aurora's tragic backstory is fucked, and yeah, her entire ordeal from when she was younger versus when the picture I showed earlier is supposed to tell the difference via her clothing and stuff. But yeah. You guys are gonna play Lig? You guys mind if I stream that? Actually, I don't have any of the fucking stream stuff set up for that, so maybe not. And plus, I have been streaming for a good bit now too. I could end. You switch over parts of streaming 3.5 hours. Uh, if you start streaming, I can send people over to you. Because I don't have any of the stream stuff set up for League. And I think that's gonna be an ass, experience, so I don't want to do that, on stream. I mean, if we're gonna play League tonight, we might as well stream if you're, okay with that. And I could just toss everyone over to you. Because, I mean, I'm gonna be there too anyway, so, you guys can just, hop on over, or I can, raid her, raid, Yori. Okay. Whenever you guys want to. So are you guys gonna do League now, or are we actually gonna do it like at a different date? And you're not gonna stream? Okay. Okay. Well, um, looks like I am probably gonna end it here. Because I don't have stream set up for League, and that's gonna take a bit, and I don't want to make people wait on that. Anyway, thank you so much for showing up to stream, and thank you for listening to me ramble for so long. Um, if you want to keep up with me, you can follow me on Twitter. You can also join my Discord. Just make sure you tell me who you are if you're new, etc. Um, if you want to keep in touch with stuff, also just join my Discord and Twitter. So yeah, I will be ending. I'm not gonna raid anybody because I don't know anybody, and well, it's late anyway. So I don't know when the next time I'll stream. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next day, who knows. Um if you want a date of when I actually will stream, Friday we're going to continue the Soul Lock. So get ready for that. That'll be at the normal time that the last few Nuzlocks or Soul Locks have been streamed, and hopefully that's not like fucked over from anything. So that will be a for sure thing that I will be streaming on Friday. Um Other than that, now till Friday, who knows if I'll stream again. I probably will. I mean, I want to like continue talking about OC stuff and continue talking about creative BS and ramble even more about stuff and things of the creative writing standpoints. um, I will probably continue to doodle on like on a different stream and all that stuff and things. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Make sure you eat. Make sure you take your meds. Make sure you hydrate. Make sure you sleep at a decent time. I will see you guys when I see you, and hopefully you have a good day, night, or afternoon.